Good morning, students. Today we discuss about the Ammocoet larva and its metamorphosis. Myself, Dr. V.M. Singh. And Ammocoet larva of petromyzon or lamprey. Ammocoet larva is a small transparent form of about 7 millimeter in length. The larval life persists for a considerable period time and grow to an eel-like form measuring about 1 meter long lamprey. Structurally, this larval stage exhibit an intermediate between the cephalochordates and vertebrates. In the evolutionary purpose, it is very important larva in the chordata. Suctorial buccal funnel is absent and mouth is bounded by an oral hood resembling closely to the Amphioxus, just like Amphioxus. The major part of larval phase is spent in burrow, but sometimes larva comes out occasionally to change the feeding habits. But most of the life is spent in the burrows or nest built by their parent. The mouth is surrounded by several branchial tentacles. Teeth are lacking, teeth are absent, and the velum is composed of a pair of muscular flap which regulate the entry of water current into the pharynx. The paired eyes are vestigial and are hidden below the skin. The unpaired pineal eye is well developed. The hypophyseal or nasal sac are poorly developed in the larva. The photoreceptors are abundant in tail region only. The photoreceptors are present in tail region only. The median dorsal fin is continuous with the caudal fin and is not divided into parts by median notch. It is a continuous fin fold in form of fin fold. The endostyle is present in the ventral or in the floor of the pharynx of Ammocoet larva. The floor of the tube bears 4 rows of mucus secreting cells which secrete mucus in large amount. These are the structure, the external morphology of Ammocoet larva and internal anatomy of Ammocoet larva, internal structure. The first this is the morphological structure or external structure. This is the mouth and buccal funnel in form of buccal funnel or stomodium, but not opened. It is a single nostril on the mid dorsal line and rudimentary eyes. Eyes are not open, eyes are not functional at this time in the larva. And these are the 7 pair of gill pouches or gill slits present in the pharynx, and this is a continuous fin fold from the dorsal end to the caudal region. And when the fin is finished, there is a notch or is a groove and where anus is present, and this is the tail and this is the trunk and this is the head, and these are the all morphological structure. In the internal or the anatomy, the buccal funnel is continuous with the velum. Velum is surrounded by the velar tentacles. Velum is continuous with the pharynx, and pharynx is perforated by the 7 pair of gill slits. Subpharyngeal glands are found in the pharynx, below the pharynx, and the pharynx is continuous with the intestine open by the anus externally. And above the alimentary canal, a single notochord from anterior to posterior and along the body line, a notochord is found or present, and a nerve cord is present. Above the notochord, a nerve cord is present, of which anterior part is condensed and form brain, and the ear and eyes are rudimentary, and the posterior part is in form of cylindrical and continuous in the tail, and this is called spinal cord. And here is a heart, 2-chamber heart. Heart is in the ventral side, and the ventral nerve cord and the dorsal nerve cord are connected with the gills or afferent or efferent branchial arteries, and a liver is present, and this is all about the internal anatomy of Ammocoet larva. The endostyle open into the pharynx by a slit-like aperture, produce profuse quantity of mucus which is entangle the food particles inside it. The endostyle is connected with the hyperpharyngeal groove by the peripharyngeal ciliated bands. The feeding mechanism is peculiar. In Ammocoet larva, the food matter are separated from the feeding current in the pharyngeal cavity. The mucus produced by the endostyle entangles the food particles which are transported to the intestine by the action of cilia of pharynx. The velum and the elaborate muscular system of branchial basket help to maintain the water current. The larva wears 7 pairs of branchial sacs which open into the exterior by gill slits or gill pouches. An additional branchial sac or gill slit may be present in the larva. A gallbladder is also present in the Ammocoet larva. The kidney is pronephros type, or primitive type kidney, that is pronephros persists as the excretory organ in the Ammocoet larva. Metamorphosis. The larval life of Ammocoet larva is quite long and may continue for the 3 to 4 years. In favorable conditions, preferably in winter, the larval metamorphosis morphos into the adult. During metamorphosis, larval characters are lost, and some important changes that occur during metamorphosis are as the following. Number 1, the endostyle transform into the thyroid gland below the pharynx. The mucus becomes surrounded by the suctorial buccal funnel with teeth, tongue and complex musculature. The paired eyes become prominent and functional. The nasal sac become internally folded and remain connected with the enlarged olfactory nerves. The nasopharyngeal sac grows backwards. The continuous median dorsal fin become divided into 2 parts, median notch, 2 parts, anterior dorsal and posterior dorsal, or first dorsal or second dorsal, and 1 caudal. The velum becomes the reduced and guard the opening of respiratory tube only. The oesophagus and the respiratory tube become independent canal. The gill develop into the sacs which open into the respiratory tube. The skull and branchial skeletal become specialized. The gallbladder disappears, which is present in the larval form, but it disappears in the adult form. The intestine becomes specialized. The pericardial cavity becomes completely cut off from the coelom and surrounds the heart only. The pronephros degenerate into the mesonephros form. Pronephros and primitive type of kidney is transformed into the mesonephros type of kidney that is more developed than the pronephros. The spinal cord becomes flattened and in form of a long spinal nerve cord, spinal cord from the brain to the tail region. The spinal cord exit of the spinal nerves which surrounds the body. The color of the skin is changed from yellow brown to the adult texture. The larva migrate from the liver to sea to begin its adult life. This development takes place into the river, freshwater rivers or the flowing water. But after the metamorphosis, when the larva is turned into the adult, the adult flow with the water current and come to the ocean. And this is catadromous migration in the larval form. The gonads become mature and this is its length become more and more and approximately 1 meter. And the adult return again to the river for the purpose of spawning. When it mature, its gonads mature and this is for the purpose of spawning, they come back from the ocean to river water. And the life cycle, thus the complete its life cycle of lamprey exhibit an adult and a larval phase. And thus we can say the life cycle of Petromyzon or lamprey is divided into adult form in the ocean and the larval form in the rivers, the freshwater life cycle and the marine water life cycle. Freshwater life cycle is the larval life cycle where metamorphosis takes place, or the spawning, from the spawning to metamorphosis takes place, and the ocean and the marine life in the adult where it is act as the ectoparasite on the fish and suck the blood of them. This is all about the metamorphosis and its Ammocoet larva and its metamorphosis. Thank you.